In this video, I thought we'd take a look in a bit more detail about what it is to be a leader at this time. When you head up a group, a team, an organisation, you as the leader can experience all sorts of emotions. And I think the challenge for anybody in that role is to work out what's something that's coming from the organisation, what might be coming from the situation that perhaps the business is in, and then what is coming from yourself. And I think having an idea of those three things can be a very useful way for senior people to make sense of what comes up in them as they kind of make their way through their day. So if I were to talk about anxiety, that might feel a very emotional topic, but it's something that runs under the surface of all of our lives and of the organisational life. And it can pop up in unexpected ways. You might experience it as how you respond when somebody gives you an instruction. You might see it as how you feel towards a particular department. And you might experience it as you might even experience it as how you feel about how you're doing, how you're succeeding, whether indeed you're good enough. So what could you expect from a coach in this role? I like to think of it as the idea of a listening mind. One of my clients, we describe it as thinking space as a service. And it's a layer of various attributes. The first is the coach comes to the session with an open mind. And they suspend their own judgment. They're not there to correct or advise even. They're there to help you think, create more space to think about what's coming up for you. One other thing that I find to be particularly useful is when I'm coaching my clients, I'm outside of their organisation. It means I'm not loaded down with a sense of their authority. I'm not attached to the way that the organisation does stuff, the culture. And that makes me more attuned to be able to move from the idea of content, the he said, she said, this is what's happening. I can move up to the context and look at it and say, I noticed over the last few weeks when we talk about this group that this comes up. What the coach and the client do together, it's not unlike a mental walk in the countryside. It's giving you the space to think differently and to think freely with somebody who can help you make sense of it. So if I think about the leadership development that I had on the way through my career, it was very much focused on practicalities, the task of leader, skills, really very, the mechanical aspects of leadership. It really didn't offer up much space for the wider person. And at this point, with the work that I'm doing, what I can see is coming together is, sure, there's aspects of leadership, but I don't need to teach people how to suck eggs. It's more about helping them come to an understanding of their inner theatre, what's coming up for them and why might that be, and then to look at the context of it. What might happen in the way they behave with their organisation and what might be coming to them from the organisation, and how can that be influencing the outcomes that they're achieving. When I'm working with somebody, and we might meet weekly, sometimes fortnightly, occasionally monthly, we often start at a very practical level. And we'll think about the mechanics, the day-to-day life of the organisation. We'll talk about the structure, the hierarchy, always in the context of the challenges in front of the individual. What we find over time is that as we work together on that regular basis, we start to shift the conversation up into the context, and we start to help make sense of the day-to-day challenges in a very different way. And it opens up, it's not that I'm there to fix an answer, to create a solution. But what we often find is that it's almost like unlocking perhaps some doors to ideas and options that person might have been aware of, but that hadn't quite managed to make sense of yet. So why does this matter now? Well, we're in a time of unprecedented pressure on everyone. And in the work role, mental health is very much on the agenda of a lot of companies. And if you're the leader in those environments, it's critical that this person is able to find a space that's for them, that helps them not only look out to the organisation, but that also helps them look in for themselves.